Hey, Mike from Iron Horse Overland, sitting here in Bam Bam. Done a lot of modifications on Bam Bam. Through my research, I've found that, there are certain gauges you should have in these trucks kind of to use to monitor and make sure engine stays healthy. But also a couple of gauges that can help you diagnose issues if you're going down the road. One of them being a boost gauge and the other being a exhaust gas gauge. So I installed those, and then I installed a transmission temperature gauge because I'm very vehicle sympathetic, and on these older vehicles, it's good to know what your vehicle's doing. But another gauge that I've been wanting to put in for a while was a tachometer. And when you research the internet or YouTube, there are not a lot of, well, there's only one video out there that I could find on how to install a tachometer in a Lmtv. I mean, any version. We have a 94 1079 AO, but even A1s, A1Rs, there's no videos out there other than the one that Sean from Fastidious Restomods did. And so fortuitously, my buddy John with Viking Overland had done a tachometer in his 1078 AO, and did it a different way than Sean did, which is good because the way Sean did it, it didn't work for my truck or John's truck. Well, what Sean did was he wired into the Isspro frequency divider that's under the dash. He found the signal wire, and then he found the 24 volt wire and the ground for the signal wire in that frequency divider. And he did it that way. Well, I tried that and it didn't work. It would activate the tach and it would sweep, come back to zero, but that's all it would do, nothing else. The next issue was in Sean's video. He said it was the pulses per revolution. He thought they were 133 pulses per revolution. Well, that doesn't work either. When I talked to John, he showed me how he wired his. Now this is going to be all about how John and I have wired ours. And if really go check out John Viking Overland on Instagram. Really nice setup. Anyways, so what I did, or what he showed me, was instead of trying to go through the frequency divider, which I don't know what else Sean did, but everything I tried didn't work. We've already established that. So what we did was you take your tap wire, and on this, it would have been the white wire, run it up to the alternator, and as you look at your alternator and look on the top of it, and there's your voltage regulator, and on that voltage regulator, it has the 24 volt side and the 12 volt side. you wire your tap wire into the 24 volt side. So as you're looking at the alternator and the voltage regulator, it's the port on the left side. And on mine, because I have a 260 amp alternator, it says AC. Some of them might say W, but it's the left side. And so I tapped into that, ran the wiring across my engine on all the wiring harnesses, down under my air conditioning compressor, up the wiring looms to right the part of the cab that I had drilled through near your accelerator pedal, and then went up over the top through underneath my dash, and then up to the wiring harness, where I'll show you where I've mounted it. And then in Sean's video, he says he wired his 24 volt hot and ground to the back of one of his gauges. Well, that does work. So I wired mine to the back of my oil pressure gauge, and you have the two 90-degree rubber grommets. You just pull it off. You put a ring terminal on the end of your hot and ground, and then you just slide it on the back on the 24 volt and the ground port, and then slip those 90-degree fittings back over the top. Works great. And then on your 12 volt side for the light, you just wire to the blue wire that runs your gauge light. You just clip into the middle of it and then use a butt connector, wire them together. Perfect. Problem 3. On these Isspro 8530M programmable tachometers, you have to, on the back side, it has 8 dip switches, and each of those dip switches has a different value. So you have to know what the pulses per revolution is. So 133 didn't work. So I tried 134. That didn't work. I got a hold of Isspro, Don at Isspro, really good guy. And he said, that's way too many pulses per revolution. Turn everything off and then just turn on switch 5, which is 16 pulses per revolution, and start from there. And then you go through the dip switches until you get it right. Well, it's a little more complicated than that, because here's the Isspro directions, and I'm just going to read to you a few of what the values are. So dip switch 1 is worth 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 4, 8, 5, 16, 6, 32, 7, 64, and 8, 128. So I threw the 16 and it didn't work. So through trial and error and going on the internet, and I used AI to figure out what those pulses would be. And there are formulas that you can use to find it. Well, I did the formula that AI said, and it said to do 8. So I did that. I did 8, and it was idling, I believe, too low. And so I knew I'd already tried 10, and I knew that didn't work. So I went up to 11, and it was idling at 1,500 RPMs. Excuse me. And when I was driving, at 50 miles an hour, it was registering like 2,500 RPMs. That can't be right. So I moved it up to 12, and it was like at 1,000. that, to me, that was still too high. I checked the internet. It states that it should be between 7 and 1,000. And I got to back up. It was at 12 before on that setting. So I just kept moving up until I got to 14 pulses per revolution, and now it's idling at about 750 or 800. And when I'm doing 50 miles an hour down the highway, we're at like 1,700 RPMs. Perfect. I'm doing this video because trying to figure out the pulses per revolution is not the easiest thing in the world. So just benefit from all the aggravation I had to suffer. The video that Sean did from Fastidious Restomods may or may not work for you. But you should, on any truck, you should be able to tap into the voltage regulator on the 24 volt side and just do it this way. It's way simpler. The power and the ground for it, simple. The 12 volt side power, simple. The hardest part about this is going to be getting your pulses per revolution right. But I'm pretty sure that 14 pulses per revolution should get you there. If it doesn't, then you just move up or down in increments of 1 or 2, and that should get you there. As long as you're idling at about 700 or 800 RPMs, and when you're at speed, you're in the 15 to 17 or 1800 RPMs, you should be fine. So from here, I'm going to show you where I mounted my tachometer, how the wiring was run. It's not the prettiest yet. I'll fix that later, but it works. And if you want to do a tachometer, if you want to do the 8530M Isspro, this will get you there. John did a tachometer that he got off eBay. It's a 12 and 24 volt or tachometer. And if you have any questions about which one he did, you can contact John at Viking Overland, or you can contact me and I'll give you the information for that. His isn't programmable. There's no dip switches. You just hook it up and it worked. I was almost at a point where I was going to buy that one and scrap the one I got, but I paid $80 for it. So you don't want the wife to get mad because I wasted $80. And I'm glad I didn't, because I like this tachometer. It looks really good and it works well. So stay tuned and we'll come back with how I mounted it, why I mounted it this way, and how I ran my wiring. All right, so we will talk to you in a little bit. All right, so you have the alternator here, and then you have the voltage regulator here. You got a red cap here and a red cap here and a red cap here. This left cap is where you tap in. And then I ran up over here across the top of the engine, the front of the engine on the wiring loom, and then to the front. I'll show you right over here. The white wire you see right there runs down, comes down here, runs right up there. And then it's right there again, and then it goes up into the cap. So, yeah. All right, so This is where the wiring comes up in through the doghouse. If you see there, I drilled some holes, put some grommets in, and all my wiring from the outside comes into the cab from there. I need to seal those off a little bit more, but it'll work. Wire. All right. So, if you notice here, this is a tap wire, comes up, goes over the brake solenoid or whatever you call that, and then it comes down, around, and then it comes up here, and then runs up to that plug. Again, not the cleanest thing in the world, but it works really well. All right. So these are the gauges I was talking about. The one thing I do like about these is they're very bright, so you're not going to miss them. But they have the needle that shows you what you're at, but they also have a digital output so that it's very easy to read. Now coming across the dashboard, here's my tach, and you notice it's idling at about 800 RPMs, and is that pretty or what? So it works. Hope you like it.